Chapter 1. What is a Ranger? In the vast, ever-changing world of Dungeons and Dragons, the Ranger stands apart as a unique figure, blending the skills of the warrior, the caster, and the scout. Their role is often misunderstood, for while they can be seen as part of many worlds, they belong fully to none. Rangers are not typically driven by the pursuit of wealth, glory, or arcane power like many adventurers. Instead, their purpose is rooted in something deeper, something more selfless, the protection of the natural world and the defense of civilization against the unknown and the dangerous. Rangers are guardians of the frontier, the places where the wilderness meets the tamed lands of towns, cities, and civilizations. These wild lands, with their untamed creatures, shifting weather, and hidden dangers, need protectors who can navigate them with both skill and respect. The Ranger is one such protector. They venture into the wilds not for riches, but because someone must. Someone has to confront the beasts that lurk in the dark forests, the creatures that plague farmers, and the bandits who raid innocent travelers. It's a quiet, solitary life, but one the Ranger chooses, for they know that in the end, the balance between civilization and the wild must be maintained. But it is a thankless job. Few understand the weight of being a Ranger. They are the unseen figures who patrol the borders, who deal with problems before they ever reach the gates of a settlement. They are often the first to encounter the monsters and threats that would otherwise go unnoticed by the rest of society. And in most cases, once the danger is gone, the Ranger slips back into the shadows, disappearing without a trace. There are no parades, no songs sung in their honor. No one thanks them for keeping the wilderness at bay. Rangers are not concerned with these things. They do not fight for recognition. Their job is their duty, and that duty comes with no fanfare. A ranger may be called upon to track a dangerous creature through thick forests, set traps in the wild, scout dangerous terrain, or simply protect a village from creatures too fearsome to confront head-on. Their work often takes them to places where the average person dare not go, and even their own kind may shy away from the harsh, unforgiving wilderness. And yet, it is in these dark, lonely places where the Ranger feels most at home. The life of a Ranger is often solitary. The bonds they form with others are few, but strong. There's a certain mystique about them, a quiet confidence that comes from years of living in harmony with the land. They are practical, driven by the need to survive, not by the desire for adventure. They don't seek excitement or thrills, but rather the calm of knowing they've done their job, kept the balance, protected the vulnerable, and ensured that the world remains safe for a time. It's this quiet, often unnoticed sacrifice that makes the Ranger such a unique figure in the world of adventurers. They aren't driven by the same forces that motivate a fighter, a rogue, or a wizard. They don't crave fame or glory, nor are they looking to change the world with great magical feats. They are warriors of the frontier, born out of necessity, driven by conviction. They do what others will not or cannot do, because, deep down, they know that their work is essential, even if it goes unseen. Chapter 2. Their obligations and convictions as warriors on the frontier. To understand the Ranger is to understand the weight of duty. Rangers are not simply skilled adventurers who roam the wilds for coin or curiosity. They are the watchful eyes on the edges of civilization, the steady hand that pushes back the creeping chaos of the unknown. Their obligations are not assigned by monarchs or guilds, nor are their convictions upheld by churches or councils. Instead, they are forged in the silence of deep forests, in the distant echoes of monstrous howls, and in the stories of travelers who made it home because someone was out there, unseen, guarding their path. Why do they do what they do? What drives a ranger is not ambition, but necessity. Few rangers set out to become heroes, and fewer still are born into the role. Most are shaped by experience. They may have lost family to beasts that lurk beyond torchlight. They may have once been travelers themselves, attacked by horrors the cities prefer to pretend don't exist. Or perhaps they were raised in the wild, understanding early on that the land is both beautiful and deadly, and that someone must act as its steward. Rangers are often those who have seen too much, who cannot unsee the things that haunt the dark corners of the world. They are the ones who recognize that most people live in a fragile bubble of safety, unaware of how quickly it could all be torn apart. And so they take it upon themselves to stand at the edge of that bubble and make sure it holds, day after day, season after season, without thanks, without rest. Some rangers may be called by a personal code, a belief that life, civilized or wild, is worth protecting. Others feel a spiritual bond with nature itself, understanding that balance must be maintained. They do not seek out evil because they enjoy the fight. They confront it because someone must. The nameless, faceless, thankless role. The ranger's role is often invisible. A village never hears the howl of the wolves because the ranger scattered the pack days before. A merchant caravan makes it through the mountains safely because a ranger silently removed the orc sentries the night prior. There are no crowds to cheer when the job is done, because the best jobs are finished before anyone knew there was danger at all. There's something noble and tragic in that. To live a life where your success means no one ever knows you are needed. To devote yourself to a world that rarely, if ever, acknowledges your sacrifice. And yet rangers continue, not because they want to be seen, but because they can't look away. They cannot live comfortably within the walls of cities while knowing what lies just beyond. Their hearts won't let them. Conviction over comfort. A ranger chooses the path of hardship not for reward, but because the alternative, inaction, is unacceptable. It is easier to ignore the darkness than to confront it. But rangers are not those who take the easy road. They walk the long trails, sleep under open skies, and face down creatures few dare to name, all because they cannot do otherwise. The land calls to them, not as a mother, but as a wounded sibling. And when the land suffers, the ranger suffers with it. This conviction is what sets them apart. It is not simply about survival or skill. It is about purpose. A ranger believes that their presence makes a difference, and so they endure. They fight not just monsters, but time, weather, isolation, and despair. They do not expect praise. They do not demand thanks. But they hope, quietly, that one day their work might no longer be needed. Because that, more than anything, is the ranger's dream. A world so safe that they can finally rest. Chapter 3. The Ranger's Diverse Skill Set. The ranger is a paradox in motion, a master of many disciplines, yet beholden to none. They are not as martially focused as the fighter, not as magically gifted as the wizard, nor as shadowy as the rogue. And yet, in the wilds, they can outmatch any of them. What sets the ranger apart is not specialization, but versatility. They are not the hammer nor the scalpel. They are the whole toolkit. Their strength lies in the ability to assess, adapt, and overcome, no matter the challenge. Martial prowess, the warrior in the wild. Rangers are trained combatants, often underestimated in sheer fighting ability. Though they lack the relentless discipline of the fighter or the divine conviction of the paladin, they wield their weapons with deadly precision, born of necessity. In battle, they are not brutes who overpower their foes. They are predators, striking from range or from the cover of trees, harassing enemies before they can respond. Unlike the fighter who dominates the front line, or the barbarian who overwhelms with sheer rage, the ranger is mobile. They strike, reposition, and strike again, never staying in one place long enough to be cornered. They can duel, to be sure, but they prefer not to. A ranger fights on their terms, or not at all. Their combat style is informed by their environment. In a forest, a ranger is nearly untouchable, using terrain, concealment, and ranged weapons to dismantle their opponents. In caves, they use narrow spaces and choke points. Even in open battlefields, a ranger knows where to move and how to control the flow of the fight. Their weapons aren't just swords and bows. They are traps, terrain, and timing. Magic, nature's subtle hand. Ranger magic is not flashy. It does not bend the laws of reality like a wizard's, nor call down divine judgment like a cleric's. Instead, it whispers, it enhances, it reveals. The ranger's magic is drawn from the land itself. Subtle, utilitarian, and deeply connected to their surroundings. With their spells, rangers sharpen senses, commune with beasts, and move through the world unseen. They may not hurl fireballs, but they will know what's watching you in the trees. They may not heal with divine radiance, but they can mend a wound in moments or call forth natural camouflage to vanish from sight. Compared to a druid who channels the raw force of nature's cycle, life, death, and rebirth, a ranger's magic is lean, honed for survival and scouting. It is a tool, not a calling. A ranger does not seek to become nature. They walk beside it, borrowing its strength when needed. Their magic is the difference between being prepared and being prey. Stealth and skill. The lone agent. In the art of stealth, the ranger does not compete with the rogue in deception or sleight of hand. Where the rogue disappears into a crowd or blends into a shadowed alley, the ranger becomes one with the environment itself. They do not hide in the world. They become part of it. A ranger's perception is unparalleled. They see the broken twig, the faint trail, the shifting breeze that reveals movement. They are hunters who do not guess where their prey is. They know. They follow tracks through blizzards, spot hidden enemies before they strike, and know when something is out of place long before anyone else even senses danger. While rogues manipulate people and situations, and bards charm and deceive, the ranger's skills are practical, grounded. They are not interested in social maneuvering or persuasion. They learn languages, recognize regional threats, know which berries will feed you and which will kill you. They live in the world the others only pass through. The power of versatility. What makes the ranger exceptional is not any one skill. It's the fact that they can seamlessly blend all of them. In one moment, They might mark a target with a spell, fire an arrow from deep cover, and then disappear into the underbrush before the enemy can react. In another, they're standing toe-to-toe with a foe, trading blows while calling on magic to enhance their strikes or conjure barriers of thorns. The ranger thrives because they are never out of place. When a rogue is cornered, they panic. When a wizard is caught in melee, they falter. When a fighter is too far from their target, they're forced to chase. But a ranger is always in control. They are never without a response. If they cannot overpower, they outwit. If they cannot outrun, they outlast. The ranger may not be better than a fighter in a duel, nor more magical than a sorcerer in spellcraft, nor stealthier than a rogue in subterfuge. But they don't have to be. They win by never playing the game on the enemy's terms. A ranger survives where others fall, not because they are the best at any one thing, but because they are good enough at everything to be prepared for anything. Chapter 4. Where do Rangers Thrive? Every class has its ideal battlefield, a place where their strengths shine and their weaknesses are minimized. The rogue slips through the shadows of crowded cities and narrow corridors. The fighter holds the line on the open battlefield, steel clashing against steel. The wizard stands far from the fray, casting destruction from a safe vantage. But the ranger? The ranger thrives not in one place, but in all places, because their strength is not tied to where they fight, but how they fight. The ranger is the master of the mobile engagement, the guerrilla fighter whose power comes not from standing firm, but from constant, intelligent motion. Their battlefield is not defined by terrain, but by opportunity. Whether in dense forest, burning desert, high mountain passes, or even the winding alleys of a city at night, if there's cover to move through, terrain to use, or a path to flank by, the ranger is already 3 steps ahead of their opponent. The guerrilla tactician. A ranger rarely fights a fair fight. They don't need to. Fair fights are for warriors who need to prove something, to win with strength or honor. A ranger fights to survive, to defend, or to eliminate a threat. Their tactics are drawn from the wild: strike fast, strike hard, and then disappear. Draw the enemy in, divide them, disorient, distract, destroy. They are archers who vanish between shots, melee combatants who seem to strike from nowhere, and spellcasters who use magic not to dominate, but to tip the scale at exactly the right moment. A well-placed hunter's mark, a snare underfoot, a sudden spike of terrain via spike growth, or the silence of pass without trace. These are the tools of the ranger, used not in spectacle, but in precise, effective moments. Where a fighter holds the line, the ranger controls the field. Their battlefield awareness, sharpened by nature, danger, and countless hours of solitude, gives them an instinct for where to be, where not to be, and where the enemy wants them to be. That's often where the ranger isn't. Never unprepared. Every class has its oh shit moment. The rogue, caught in the open, without an escape. The wizard, cornered out of spells, enemies closing in. The fighter, facing a flying enemy out of reach, or one cloaked in magic. These are the moments where the limits of specialization show. But the ranger doesn't have those moments. Not because they are invincible, but because they plan for failure. A ranger expects things to go wrong. They expect ambushes, traps, illusions, missed shots, and magic gone awry. And for each, they have something. A spell, a skill, or an instinct honed through trial and error. If magic fails, the sword is ready. If brute force won't work, there's always stealth. If stealth isn't an option, they'll outrun, outmaneuver, or outlast. They are the ultimate contingency plan. The silent voice in every party that says, "I'll scout ahead. I'll keep watch. I'll cover your escape." That's not flair. It's reality. In a dangerous world, the ranger is the one who walks into danger first, because they know they can get out of it. The comfortably uncomfortable. Some thrive in cities, some thrive in strongholds, but rangers are comfortable being uncomfortable. They're used to being cold, wet, hungry, or lost. That kind of endurance can't be trained in a barracks or read in a tome. It comes from nights alone in the forest, from winters with no fire, from battles where no one else was coming to help. Because of this, rangers aren't defined by terrain. They're enabled by it. The ranger who knows the territory has the advantage. And when they're on familiar ground, it's not just a fight, it's a slaughter. Against the unprepared, a ranger in their favored terrain is a force of nature. You don't fight a ranger on their land. You survive them. The edge of civilization. The ranger stands at the edge, not just of wilderness and city, but of chaos and order. They are the thin, quiet line between safety and the monstrous unknown. They may not wear shining armor or command elemental fury, but their strength lies in the simple, unshakable truth. A ranger never finds themselves somewhere they don't know how to fight. Whether tracking a werewolf through snow-covered woods, hunting bandits across open plains, or navigating the twisted tunnels of a ruined dungeon, the ranger is already adapting, already preparing, already thinking. Because when it all goes wrong, and it will, they'll be the one left standing. Not because they're the strongest, not because they're the smartest, but because they were ready. Chapter 5. Rangers and Civilization. Their role, their origins, and the weight of their calling. To most people in a village or city, the ranger is a myth, a rumor, a story told by merchants and wanderers of the one who lives beyond the walls, who guides lost caravans, who slays monsters in the night, who leaves strange tracks near the tree line after a storm. They are spoken of with a blend of awe, fear, and misunderstanding. Are they soldiers, druids, outlaws? Perhaps something else entirely. In truth, the ranger is none of those things, yet also in part, all of them. They are civilization's protector, and yet rarely its citizen. Their life orbits the edges of society, like a moon to a planet. Necessary, close, but never fully part of the world they protect. Guardians of the threshold. Rangers are most often found on the frontiers, the blurred lines where wild lands press against cultivated ones. It is here, on the borders, that danger brews first. Creatures wander from deep forests, goblins scout the edges of farms. Strange weather patterns stir. Few notice, fewer still care. But the ranger does. They patrol these invisible thresholds, often alone. No one asked them to, no one ordered them, but someone has to do it, and the ranger steps forward again and again. In doing so, they serve a role more vital than any city guard or noble court. They ensure that the people of the realm can live their lives, because they're out there, watching. And yet when they walk into town, they are often treated as outsiders. They do not fit. Their leathers are weather-worn. Their speech is blunt. Their eyes are sharp and ever scanning, as if expecting a threat at any moment. They do not drink to excess, nor do they boast of their deeds. In taverns they sit with their backs to the wall. In marketplaces they seem uncomfortable with coin. They are of civilization, but never quite in it. Who becomes a ranger? No one is born a ranger. It's not a title passed down in noble bloodlines, nor something learned in a grand academy. A ranger becomes what they are through necessity, through trauma, through choice, or often, through all three. A child who survived a monster attack when no one came to help. A hunter who wandered too far and saw something they could not explain. A soldier who left the army after seeing what the front lines really looked like. A druid who could no longer sit in ritual as the wilds were burned. Becoming a ranger isn't a promotion. It's a calling, or sometimes a burden. A ranger may look at the world and say, "This shouldn't be happening," and rather than walk away, they walk into the wilds and decide to do something about it. Some begin as outcasts, others as protectors. But they all eventually come to the same truth. This world is dangerous, and if they don't stand between the people and the wild, no one else will. A burdensome role. Unlike other adventuring classes, rangers rarely choose their path for personal gain. A rogue may crave gold, freedom, or the thrill of the heist. A fighter may seek glory on the battlefield. A wizard may hunger for knowledge or power. Even a cleric may seek divine purpose or favor. But a ranger. The ranger's work is, more often than not, a burden. It is not a title of honor. It's a job that few want, and fewer still truly understand. It is waking up every day with the knowledge that you are responsible for things that most people don't even see. It is working not for victory, but for prevention. A ranger succeeds when no one knows there was ever a threat. And in that success, there is no applause. They may never be thanked. Their name may be forgotten. Their efforts may be dismissed or misunderstood. But the ranger keeps going because deep down they know the truth. Someone has to. The misunderstood archetype. Because of their nature, rangers often suffer from stereotypes. Many view them as cold, distant, or antisocial. They may be seen as strange loners who talk to animals or stare too long into the woods. And to a degree, this is true. Rangers aren't known for small talk or storytelling. They don't boast or exaggerate. They're often the last to speak in a group, and the first to act when danger appears. Their silence is not pride or arrogance. It is caution, experience, and the weight of many nights spent alone with only the sounds of predators for company. But there is more to the ranger than people see. They are not humorless. They simply know when jokes end and danger begins. They are not heartless. They simply guard their emotions like they guard the forest. They are not loners by nature. They simply haven't found many people who truly understand what they've seen. Beneath the quiet is deep empathy, a fierce protective instinct, and a loyalty that, once earned, never wavers. A selfless hope. Perhaps the greatest truth about the ranger is this. They are among the only adventurers who long for a world in which their role no longer needs to exist. The rogue wants more to steal. The fighter wants more battles. The wizard wants more spells to learn. But the ranger wants peace. They want to hang up their bow. They want to walk into a town where no child fears the woods. They want the monsters to stay gone. They want the balance to be restored. And until that day comes, they will keep patrolling the wilds, silent and unseen, holding the line so others don't have to. Chapter 6. How Rangers Differ from Rogues, fighters, and druids. Understanding the purpose behind each skill. On paper, the ranger seems like a blend of other classes, part fighter, part rogue, part druid. They wield martial weapons and wear armor. They creep through the brush like a thief in the night. They call upon spells borrowed from nature. But reducing the ranger to a hybrid is a misunderstanding of what they are. Their resemblance to these other classes is superficial. The purpose behind their tools, the why, is what defines them. To truly understand the ranger, you must look beyond the surface. Not just what they do, but why they do it, and what need each skill fulfills in their greater mission. Rangers versus fighters. Purpose in martial training. Fighters are masters of combat, honed through discipline, training, or raw instinct. They exist for the fight itself. A fighter might be a knight, a gladiator, a mercenary, or a veteran soldier. Their power lies in control of battle. Whether by brute force or clever technique, they fight for victory, for glory, for survival, or for coin. But a ranger's martial training is not about dominance. It's about efficiency. It's about necessity. A fighter trains to defeat the enemy. A ranger trains to eliminate the threat. Where the fighter stands and holds ground, the ranger moves and leaves no trace. Their combat is never for show. They don't fight to prove themselves. They fight to make danger go away. A ranger doesn't need to win the fight. They just need to end it and live to move on to the next. Their weapons are often chosen for utility. Bows for range and hunting, blades for quick strikes. They don't carry a dozen weapons. They carry exactly what they need. A fighter may think of combat as a profession. A ranger thinks of it as a last resort, wielded with cold precision when all other options have failed. Rangers versus rogues, the function of stealth and tracking. Rogues are elegant manipulators of circumstance. They lie, pick locks, sneak, and strike from the shadows. Their stealth is tied to mischief or control, whether it's for theft, assassination, or infiltration. The rogue is often an agent of disruption, someone who bends systems to their advantage. But a ranger's stealth is different. It is not about deception. It is about survival. It is about respect for danger. A rogue hides to avoid being seen. A ranger hides because being seen means something dies, them, or something they're protecting. The ranger does not seek to control people. They seek to understand the world. Their stealth is not limited to dim alleyways or castle halls. It functions in sunlight, in rain, in snow. It's adaptable because the wild is unforgiving. You don't hide from a pack of wolves the same way you hide from a hill giant. A rogue doesn't need to think about the wind direction. A ranger always does. And while rogues follow people, rangers follow creatures. They read trails, feel tracks, smell changes in the air. Their tracking skills aren't just survival, they're storytelling. A ranger can look at the ground and tell you what passed, how long ago, what mood it was in, and whether or not it's still nearby. A rogue infiltrates, a ranger hunts. Rangers versus druids, the intent of magic. The ranger's magic is often compared to the druids, as both pull their power from nature. But the source may be similar. The function, however, is not. A druid is a mystic, a wielder of nature's raw force, a guardian of balance in the cosmic sense. A ranger is a soldier of the wild. Their magic is practical, immediate, sharpened like a blade, and just as deadly. Where druids call storms or become beasts, rangers whisper to animals, cloak themselves in shadow, or mark a foe for death. Druid magic is often ceremonial, spiritual, or transformative. Ranger magic is tactical. It's utilitarian. It's not a grand statement of faith. It's a scalpel to fix a specific problem. Their spells are short, clean, effective. Hunter's Mark to track and weaken a target. Pass without trace to make a group vanish. Goodberry to heal and sustain through hard days. Detect magic to find something wrong before it becomes fatal. These are not the spells of someone looking to commune with the earth. These are the spells of someone who must survive. Someone who must ensure that others survive too. The synergy of skill sets. When you look at each element alone, sword, stealth, spell, it might seem like the ranger is a diluted version of a stronger archetype. But when you put them together, you realize the truth. A ranger is not a copy of other classes. A ranger is what happens when you give one person the essential tools of multiple disciplines and a reason to master all of them. Their magic is not for power, but for preparation. Their stealth is not for theft, but for protection. Their combat is not for conquest, but for defense of land, of people, of balance. The Ranger is not a combination. They are a convergence. Chapter 7. The Ranger's Relationship with Society and the Wilderness. Between two worlds. If you were to draw a line between civilization and the wild, you would find the Ranger standing squarely upon it, 1 foot in each world, fully belonging to neither. They are a bridge between the structured, predictable life of towns and cities and the chaotic, primal pulse of untamed nature. This duality defines them, not just geographically, but spiritually, emotionally, and philosophically. Rangers walk a lonely path because they are always in between. The wilderness, ally, adversary, and teacher. For most, the wilderness is something to be feared. It's where monsters roam, where travelers get lost, where nature reclaims what civilization has forgotten. To the ranger, it is home, not because it is safe, but because it is honest. The wilderness does not lie. It does not pretend. It is raw and real. It teaches through hardship and rewards those who respect its laws. The ranger's bond to it is not romanticized. It is earned. They know that nature is both beautiful and cruel, nurturing and predatory. They've seen the sunrise break through ancient treetops, and they've seen companions bleed out on frozen hills. They love the land not for what it gives, but for what it is. To many druids, nature is sacred. To the ranger, it is intimate, a lifelong companion, with all the complexity and nuance of a living thing. It provides them shelter, power, and warning. They listen to it, and in return, it trusts them. This is why a ranger can move through the wild without disturbing it. Why they can vanish into the trees. Why the animals don't flee at their scent. They do not dominate nature. They walk with it. Society, a distant home. And yet, for all their reverence for the wild, rangers are not feral. They are not savages or beasts. They understand the world of people, its rules, its politics, its comforts. Many of them come from it. Some still have families in towns they visit between patrols. Some even wish they could stay. But they can't. Not for long. There's a tension there. A restlessness that takes hold when the ranger is surrounded by stone walls and crowded streets. The air feels wrong. The noise never fades. People are too close, and yet they feel so far away. The ranger watches them with a quiet detachment, knowing that these people will never truly understand the weight they carry. They are often welcomed with wary gratitude. Villagers may offer a drink, a bed, a meal, but rarely friendship, rarely trust. Rangers speak in half sentences, eyes always on the window. They might seem cold, blunt, or grim, but it's not cruelty. It's a shield. You can't afford to let your guard down when danger is always a breath away. And so, society views them as distant protectors, strange, useful, and perhaps a bit unsettling. Not because they've done wrong, but because they've seen too much, because they live in the places others refuse to go. A life of watching, not belonging. This is the burden of the ranger, to be close to people but rarely part of them. They defend cities they don't live in. They save lives of those who don't remember their names. They walk among crowds who don't know what they've lost. Because the ranger prevented it before it ever reached them. There is love in what the ranger does. Quiet love. A protector's love. The kind of love that doesn't demand recognition, only that the people keep living their small, peaceful lives, unaware of what stalk the edge of their homes. And sometimes, just sometimes, the ranger will allow themselves a moment of stillness, standing on a ridge at sunset, watching the smoke rise from chimneys below, knowing that today no one died, and that's enough. The eternal middle path. The ranger's journey is not about mastery, fame, or fortune. It is about balance between nature and civilization, between the sword and the spell, between the lone path and the group's need, between who they are and who the world needs them to be. They are never fully one thing, never complete, always becoming, always adapting, always enduring. They are the silence before the arrow strikes. They are the footprint beside the trail that wasn't there yesterday. They are the shadow at the edge of the torchlight. They are the reason no one remembers what could have gone wrong. They are the ranger.